Coming along the very colourful top retaining bed in front of the studio, I was admiring the very substantial Umbellifer Mathiasella, which seems to be carrying on, and the old flowers are turning a very nice sort of wine red colour. And serendipitously, I planted an Elstromeria next to it, which seems to have grown into it, and I think the two make quite an interesting combination. They do seem to complement each other quite well. I find this Mathiasella extremely fascinating plant. It's been going on and on and on now for weeks. But at the end of this border, I suddenly spotted my Chinese lilac has got its first few flowers after 3 years. Let's have a look. This lilac is closely related to the Japanese lilacs called Lilac syringa reticulata. This one comes from northern China and is incredibly hardy. Not that that matters particularly here in my mild garden, but another good feature of this Chinese lilac is its trunk, which in older specimens becomes quite exfoliating. That is, it comes off in strips and has lovely patterns to it. It's just beginning now on this relatively young tree, so I have hopes for it. The main thing is to keep it clear underneath, otherwise it can tend to become a kind of a bush, which then you lose the patterned trunk. You'll get an idea of how it's going to be when it's more mature. Still very attractive lilac. I've seen photographs of this lilac, absolutely smothered in its white flowers, and looks a real picture. So I have hopes, and so does Bertie, that this will happen here. Don't you, Bert? Coming up the path here beside the wall is this marvellous daisy from the South Island of New Zealand, Acastegia insignis. The felted leaves are just gorgeous, aren't they? We were coming down the coast road towards Kaikoura some years ago, and I couldn't help noticing that on the rocks above us was this plant. Now, as luck would have it, there was a sea lion colony down on the other side of the road, and so we stopped the bus, and everybody but me got out and looked at the sea lion colony. Well, I actually crossed the road and went up to look at these in the wild. Fantastic experience. As well as the felted leaves and the lovely daisies, I'm always intrigued by the depth of the back of the flower. See how deep it is. It's one wonders if the flower is storing something in there. What a lovely pattern. One sees this on other daisy plants, but this one, it's especially marked. Twitchy nose, obviously some interesting smells beyond the range of human olfactory. There are various Styrax trees in the garden in flower, and they have this wonderful, strong, slightly cloying scent. Now this one is an unusual weeping variety with pinkish flowers, and it's called Weeping Pink Chimes. Sounds appropriate enough. Now the problem with this is that all the growth at the top comes out when the flowers are still coming out underneath, so they get buried by this new foliage, and the only flowers that we can actually see are the ones down at the bottom. Still, the ones you can see are looking rather charming. Most years I try and take out the middle of this weeping tree in order to open it up a bit. But really we need to keep one step ahead. Sheer abundance. That's what June brings. Standing at the beginning of the long border here. There's Penelope, a good old rose. The scent from this Philadelphus is fantastic. And here is a good old favourite, a moss rose, William Lobb. And talking of William Lobb and moss roses in general, moss roses were first noticed in early in 1720 thereabouts, in the centifolia rose, where the thorns, especially near the buds, had modified themselves into glands with a kind of balsam fragrance. These became very popular in the Victorian era, when William Lobb, this particular rose, was introduced in 1855. William Lobb himself was a Cornishman born near Wade Bridge, and was sent by Veitches of Exeter first to South America, to Chile, Argentina, where he, amongst many other Chilean plants, introduced the monkey puzzle to this country, and then was sent up to the west coast of the United States, to California, where famously he introduced the giant redwood to cultivation, which was called the Wellingtonia in this country. He unfortunately developed syphilis, probably caught in one of the ports of South America, and it slowly overtook him. So by 1860 he was very ill and couldn't continue. He died in a San Francisco hospital, very poor, and is buried out there. A sad end to somebody who introduced so many wonderful plants. Visitors often asked if I've got greenfly on my roses, because I don't use any chemicals. But I then grab the moss, which is what they're referring to, put it on their noses, and they sniff this wonderful eucalyptusy balsamic smell. Now, there are also variegated roses, which were very popular at the end of the 19th, beginning of the 20th century, and this one is called Ferdinand Pichard, dating from about 1910. And sprawling shrub, in fact it has suckered away as well. But on its own roots. Now, looking the other way down the long border, I noticed in here a clematis poking up, which is a lovely thing. This is a semi-herbaceous clematis called Durandii. Now, it's a hybrid between a truly herbaceous clematis, integrifolia, and a Chinese climbing clematis which twines away, called Lagunosa, I think, something like that. Anyway, dates back to the 1870s, and it has really remained popular ever since, because it produces quite stout but non-twining stems to about 6 feet, and so will ideally grow inside a shrub like this Acacia shrub, and pop out from into the sun at the top, whereas maintaining the shade at its roots. And here it is from behind, poking up above the aca bush into the sunshine. Walking down this path, it'd be easy to miss this flowering shrub, which has actually become really quite big. But it's, I think, rather attractive with its red flowers on stalks. When I say red, I mean really sort of a rosy red colour. This is Elysium Henry Eye. It's the Elysiums have aromatic foliage and sometimes aromatic flowers. One of them has been used to make incense, but I think this one is particularly nice with its red, jolly red flowers. And the other side of the yew hedge from the long border is the Chilean nasturtium doing its stuff. And I must say it is very jolly. The problem is, of course, when it comes to cutting the yew hedge, you have to miss out the bits that the nasturtium's poking out of, and just have to put up with the untidiness for a few months until the nasturtium has more or less died away.